Good morning, everyone. This is Brad Matheny. Today is the 19th of August. Happy Tuesday. We're looking at a very mild day yesterday after this rolling kind of a topping pattern here. And you remember that I kind of warned of this. Let me find it here. Don't have it. This rolling kind of a topping pattern here. Not here. Documents. And let me get to it. Sorry, guys. Kind of crossed my mind that we would be. There it is. So we had this rolling kind of a double topping pattern here setting up. And I warned last week that if we got rejection in this area, that we would be looking at a potential weakening of trend, a potential breakdown, kind of a sideways rolling top. Now, we don't have quite have that yet. We're 643.05. We're moving kind of sideways pre-market. We do have that kind of a rolling topping pattern here, and the SPY cycle patterns are suggesting a gap breakaway in congestion, bearish daily bias, bearish weekly bias, moving into kind of a trend mode. Now, this is a breakaway pattern. So I would suspect here, given where we're at and given the general kind of market trend here with exhaustion, that we might be looking at some kind of a breakdown pattern today to the downside. We'll see. A breakaway pattern can be fairly big. As I said, I think we should be monitoring this kind of a 634 area and or this 643 area, 640, sorry. Yeah, 639, 76, 640 as a potential breakdown range. If we're going to get a move down, it's probably going to be like this, somewhat in that manner, breaking this excess phase peak flagging formation and moving into kind of a sideways channel. A move down to 639 roughly first, which is this area, breaking down to 634, and then potentially rolling into this 616 area, stalling before breaking downwards. So, we've got this cycle pattern right now that is setting up in a weakening type of a trend. Gap breakaway in counter trend mode. We'll see what happens today. Today could be, we got breakaway, rally. So we'll see how it plays out. And this rally mode, like I said, in a normal uptrend, I would consider this a pretty strong upward move. Still could be a fairly strong upward move, but then next week we get into this breakaway, carryover bottom. And to me, this bottom means we break down. We're searching for a bottom. This whole week could be a breakdown. Then we move into flat, inside breakaway, carryover. So I'm seeing a whole lot of volatility ahead for the week. And I think that means literally potentially a retest of these lows. So, if I were to warn everybody, I think we're looking at a potential move down into this area. Just kind of a retest of these lows. And I think that's kind of on the cards right now with tariff news and who knows what else. So I think we're looking at this rolling low, setting up a low, pulling back up, rejecting up here, moving back down into this 620, 628 area low, maybe a bit lower. Okay, so we'll see how it plays out today. I'm not expecting much. We're getting weakening volume. If we do get a big selling move, we'll get some higher volume here with unwinding in the markets. But again, I kind of think that this double topping pattern is playing out. And, what I would kind of expect here is a bit of rejection in this area, kind of moving up, stalling, kind of that head and shoulders formation here, kind of rolling top. So be aware that we're looking at this. Remember, this is weekly. And if we do get that rolling type of a topping pattern here, it may be a pretty good sign that, we've got kind of this shoulder, head, shoulder, and breaking down. Okay, so gold, come back over here to gold. Gold and silver are, again, basing right now. It looks pretty good for a base rally. I'm looking for this rally mode to continue higher. Whoops, wrong one. We are in a momentum rally and counter trend mode today. Come back over here. So, in counter trend mode, bearish warning. Counter trend currently, trend is bearish. So, a momentum rally and counter trend mode, I would read that as an upward trend. We'll see how it plays out. You can see we've just reached the apex flag. We've just reached this lower pattern here. I mean, if we were to get an upward move here, which I like, I would suggest that we are likely going to be moving up here to this 65 or 35.60 area or 39.50 to $40 area for silver. I mean, I like this setup. I do like this mode. I think this is a very solid basing mode. And as I mentioned to you, this momentum rally, if we do get a rally mode in gold and silver today, we got blank patterns the rest of the week, move into a gap stall revert flush, topping pattern, gap potential, gap stall revert flush, breakdown. So, that kind of leads me to think that we would be moving upward in this area, maybe stalling, and then up, and then maybe stalling again. So again, my estimate is we're building a base and we're working through this shaped pattern in dark blue, looking for this target move. We have the same harmonic pattern here, moving through this deep low. This would be essentially a base looking to roll back out of this low into a rally phase up into here. And this would be looking to do the same thing. Move out of this mode, rally up potentially up into this area here. Ideally, that's what I think is going to happen. Okay, so we're looking for a bit of a rally, momentum rally here to set up in gold and silver. And we'll see if it sets up today or not. Hopefully, that's all I can say. Bitcoin was down pretty hard yesterday. Came back up at the end of the day, it looks like. We are down below 116 with a new low here. Bitcoin cycle patterns are a bottoming pattern in bullish breakout warning. So we're in a breakout mode. That means that we could get a big move. And we're moving into a sideways warning pattern. We've come right down to that support level that I talked about, the 115, 115, 900, almost 116. We have broken down to a new low, suggesting that Bitcoin wants to move downward. Fibonacci price theory. Like I mentioned to you, I really believe that Bitcoin is going to come down into this lower quadrant kind of area and try to find some support. So, I would suggest that we have another, whoops, go away. We have another few $1,000s to go to maybe 2,500, maybe $3,000 downward. I think this 112, 113 area is going to be ultimate support for Bitcoin. We could see this roll on out. You can see we've broken out of this excess phase peak flag channel, this blue level. Let me get rid of this. So we've broken out of this excess phase peak flagging, breaking down. Ultimately, that means that what we have to do in this breakdown mode is we have to move down below this flagging low. So ultimately, this, I'll draw it in black, I guess. Well, I got black. I'll draw it in dark blue. This move here is literally next. Okay, and this move here, if I get rid of this, come over here and draw it, would likely put us down in this area, consolidating, and then potentially moving into the ultimate low. So, this is an excess phase peak breakdown. It got up above these highs. This is technical invalidation on a daily. This is rejection back to the downside. Obviously rejected this high, couldn't hold it. Now we're breaking down. We've broken out of the excess phase peak flagging formation. We're moving into the breakdown mode. What would happen in the breakdown mode, like I told you, is we'd get this bigger breakdown. And let me get rid of this purple line. So we would move into this bigger breakdown, but first we're going to potentially run into support here. So support around 111,500 to 112, 113. We might bounce in here a little bit before breaking down into consolidation, 102, 105, 107, rolling in that range, and then breaking down ultimately to an ultimate low, maybe down here in the $87,000, $90,000 range. So we'll see. We'll see how things play out here. But ultimately, we are looking at a bottom formation here in counter trend. So it would be technically a top, bottom, bullish warning, counter trend bottom. Yeah, we'd be looking at a top here. So in essence, we would be looking at, we have a top back over here. We have a rolling peak here. Let's take a look at our trend on an hourly. 18, 19. So we would probably be looking at this as the topping formation. Okay. If not, we're going to get another topping rollover right over here, indicating upward movement and then breaking down further. So, give you an example, the topping formation is generally either it has already formed or will form a subsequent type of a top, which is a rally up to resistance, stalling, and then breaking downward again. So we're looking at a breakdown mode again in Bitcoin here. Really, really looking at kind of a solid downward move. Okay, it is Tuesday. I'm going to get back at it, get this video updated. Let's go get some today. Remember, markets have been pretty quiet. We may have another kind of a quiet day today before we move into some breakdown. Let's just see how this plays out. And if the markets are really super quiet, that's the time to kind of go away, let it do its thing, and not try to kick it and make it move. You can't make the markets go anywhere, really. So if it's sideways, stalling, no major moves, go do something with the family, go get some breakfast, do something fun. The markets will be there for you tomorrow. Okay, guys, talk to you later.